whenever he can.
Okay.
So I'm going to record, and let's go ahead and start with prayer, guys, and we'll get going. The three of us anyway, okay?
All right.
So let's pray together. Oh Lord, help me never to expect any happiness from the world, but only in thee. Let me not think that I shall be more happy by living to myself, for I can only be happy if employed for thee, and if I desire to live in this world, only to do and suffer what thou dost allot me. Teach me that if I do not live a life that satisfies thee, I shall not live a life that will satisfy myself. Father, do help us to find all our satisfaction in you, whether it's in the calling of our lives to be students or teachers, our calling to be a son or daughter, our calling to be a friend. Father, help us to find our satisfaction not in those other people or in those relationships, but in our relationship to you. And Lord, as we're getting down to the final couple of weeks here, help us to stay focused and to do good work to your glory in these last few classes together. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, so Stedman, you just interrupt if you have a question or something, or type in the chat box that you do, since
All
I'm
right.
not going to be able to see you flag me down, okay?
Sounds good. All right.
All right.
I don't know how hot it is where you guys are, but it is like 90 degrees here.
Oh, wow. How is it in Tennessee, Joel?
It's actually been pretty nice over the past few days. We actually opened our pool a few days ago.
Oh, fun. So it's warm.
Fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to be in the mid-80s here today, so it's going to be warm here. But we're leaving on Thursday for Arizona, and I know it's already in the hundreds there. So
yeah, Arizona's hot.
Arizona's hot, which is why I try not to go in the summer, but it never works out for me. I always end up going.
It's a dry, hot thought, though.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's so much better. It's a dry heat. All right, Joel, why don't you read for us this lovely language quote from Sir Walter Raleigh in his History of the World.
Okay. O eloquent, just, and mighty death, whom none can advise, thou hast persuaded what none hath dared. Thou hast done, and whom all the world has flattened. Thou hast cast out the world and despised. Thou hast drawn together all the far-stretched greatness, all the pride, cruelty, and ambition of man, and covered it with two narrow words. Hic jacet, here lies.
Yep, hic jacet. It's Latin for here lies, right? Now, who is Walter Raleigh addressing in this? Who is he speaking to here?
Death.
He's speaking to death. And what is the figure of speech we see here? He's talking in first person or a direct address to death and saying death is the one that does things that others don't dare, persuades where others could not advise, flatters or despises where others flatter. What is he doing with death? Can death actually flatter or despise?
No.
Yeah.
No. What do we call it?
I know it starts with a P.
It does start with P. Either name for it starts with P.
Yeah.
There are two names for this figure of speech, right?
Yeah. And
it's like
the hard one is prosopopeia.
Prosopopeia, right.
The easy one is what? It also starts with a P. Personification.
Oh,
personification. Why is it called personification?
Because it personifies.
Yeah, it makes something a person that's not a person. So death is being made into a person here. Now, guys, I can guarantee you're going to have to identify these figures of speech on your final. So make sure you've got those definitions down cold, and you can go back and look, online. You can Google those figures of speech and bring up examples so you can practice recognizing them. I highly recommend you do that before your final exam, okay? And speaking of reviewing, for our final exam, Let's go back to old ideas that you are still responsible for. Give me what Tarak means. Joel, go for it.
Take inventory, ask questions, relations, ask yes or no questions, and qualify.
Excellent. And when do we use Tarak, Joel? What's it useful for?
It's for just kind of when you get your thesis, just kind of how putting it into your essay.
Right, it's developing your thesis and figuring out what you want to write about in your essay. Now, what's PCI stand for, Stedman?
It's like pro, con, and interesting chart.
Right, right. And where do you use that? Which tool do you use a PCI chart with?
For like review. Oh wait, I'm reading this. For developing your essay.
Right. It goes particularly with the second A of Tarak, right?
Right.
When you get your thesis to a yes or no question, the PCI chart helps you organize your ideas against and for your thesis. Joel, what are the 5 W's and H?
Sorry, I expect the button. The as who, what, where, why, when, and how.
Right. And Stedman, what does IRC stand for? Stedman, are you with us?
Sorry, there was it froze for a second.
That's okay.
ERC stands for enumeration of detail, reiteration, causes, comparison, and circumstance.
Perfect. And when do you use IRC, Stedman?
When you're developing your thesis?
Not quite.
That's Dart C, right?
Right. Dart C is to help you question your thesis.
Right.
And while we're talking about Dart C, Stedman, what does Dart C stand for?
It stands for I have it in my book, and I don't have my book.
Definition.
Definitions, analogies.
Yep.
Definitions, analogy.
Relationship. Testimonies,
and
circumstance. Yes.
Circumstance. Yes.
So the Dart C questions are ancient questions to help you think of more information about your thesis, about your topic. But back to IRC. When do we use enumeration of details, reiteration, comparison? When do you think about those categories, or when ought you to think about those categories? Joel?
When you're writing your essay and you're developing your paragraph.
Exactly. Those are really the development of your paragraph tools, right? So you're going to want to be thinking about all these things, not just in being able to define them for the test. You want to go back through your essay and say, where can I enumerate some details here? Where can I reiterate something using different words and helping for better understanding? Where can I make a comparison? Where can I list the circumstances? Where can I show cause and effect? You actually want to go back and look and use those to develop those paragraphs. Does that make sense? Any questions? All right, now, most of what we're going to do for the rest of class, and I'm really bummed that Ben isn't here for it, but maybe he will be by the time we get started. We want to look at your rough drafts for Essay 3. Now remember, because this is a graded essay, I'm not going to be writing down and going through and giving you comments. So this class is your time to jot down things we talk about that need improvement. And here are the things I want us to think about for one another. I want you to answer these for each other's papers and maybe even for your own paper. I want you to answer first, is the structure of the paper clear? How about the paragraph structure and the sentence structure? Is everything clear? Have you made the right kinds of shapes out of your introduction and your conclusion? Do you have nice blocks of meaning for your middle paragraphs? Where is your thesis stated? All of those sorts of things, okay? Next, is there a really clear thesis and a strong argument? Does the con point get turned so that it supports your thesis? Are the paragraphs beefy and well developed? Do you see the ERC tools being used? Are there mechanical or spelling errors or grammar errors? Okay, so those are the things we're going to ask. But in order to do that, we are going to want to head over to the home page, if you would. Stedman, can you do this okay where you are? We want to go to the Essay 3 Rough Draft Forum.
I can. Yes, I think I can.
Yeah, and so if you're just there and can have that forum open and read along, you don't have to look here or whatever.
Okay,
oh, look, and here comes Ben. Hey, Ben.
Hey.
Good to have you. We're just about to start looking at our rough drafts of Essay 3. Tell your mom thanks for hurrying home.
Yeah. Thank you for how much she said. Mrs. Finnegan said.
All right, so we're going to read. We're going to read our rough drafts and give each other comments, looking particularly at the questions we have on the slide, Ben. Yes.
Can my mom say something to you real quick?
Sure.
All right, go ahead. Oh, she
Oh, that's all. I mean,
oh, she just wanted to, you already know that. So, next 2 days? Yeah. So we'll be driving today to get home, then spending the night driving tomorrow too.
Okay.
She
And
said,
so will you be home by Wednesday, or what's the scoop there?
we'll be home Tuesday night.
Okay.
Probably later, like in the evening. But
Okay.
yes, we will be home by
Perfect. Perfect. And while we're talking about that, I'm going to be coming to you from Arizona on Monday. So we'll have our regular class times next week. But one of them, I will be on my laptop in Arizona. So hopefully everything will work smoothly, though I haven't done it from there on my laptop this year yet. I've done it in the past. So there should be no changes. We should have class this week and next week, and then we're done. Okay?
Good.
So, all right, you guys, Ben and Joel, are you still seeing my slide? Or can you if you try to? Yes? And we're going to go and look at rough drafts. Okay?
Miss Finnegan?
Yes, sir.
I sent you the rough draft for my essay email. I think you saw it because I comments you made. And
Yes.
I'm fixing all that and stuff.
Okay, now, do you have it? Hold on a second. I am having a hard time.
I can pull up the one I sent you.
You did not turn one in on the website?
Oh, I didn't because because you had it here.
Um,
Hang on one second. I can go to it.
yeah, Stedman, we're not going to be able to do it in class if you didn't upload it.
I can upload it right now.
Yeah, I don't know if we can get it fast enough. But why don't you go ahead and try? Plus, I'm having some kind of trouble here. Are you guys seeing my Young Writers Workshop page, not my PowerPoint page? That's really bizarre.
Oh, I don't see the.
I'm seeing workshop essay.
Yeah, that's all I see.
Oh, and the questions we're supposed to ask?
Yes.
Okay. That's just, I'm having some bizarre stuff. I'm not able to move in my, hold on a minute. Let me, okay, so you're seeing that. And why is this here? I want this over here. Maybe then I can do this. No. I can't. Well, that's all right. I guess. Let's go ahead and open up Ben's essay. Now, let me ask you guys a question. Do you want me to keep taping this and send you a link to the recording? Or is your own taking notes fine?
I'm just keep recording. Keep recording.
Keep recording, and I'll just send you a link later this afternoon if you want to go back
Yeah.
and listen to comments. All right, Ben, I would like you to read us your rough draft, please, if and you would.
Yep.
And guys, read along and think about those questions on the slide. Okay, go ahead, Ben.
Benjamin Lawrence. Okay. The deep feeling of love may not be stopped, but one is perfectly capable of not acting on it. Meaning of love is an intense feeling of deep affection towards someone or something. There's much to be known to add on, and above all, much to be loved, but it be the turn of the season or the shape of a river pebble. Indeed, the more we find to love, the more we add to the measure of our hearts. Those small words hold little nuggets of truth in them, just as the Bible keeps it at those glorious pages. Love adds to the heart joy and happiness. They're like a package. They come together as one. People can't have love and expect to be angry at the same time. If our imaginary person, Frank Loveman,
It's hard to find a simile.
is feeling hatred towards his love, he cannot possibly say, I love you, dear. He would be lying to himself. He does not and cannot possibly love her because love is a choice that people make. Now, is it possible for a person to see love in someone else, to tell whether someone is in love? Yes, it is possible to see and tell if someone is in love, just by simply seeing their actions and how they interact with other people they don't even know, or by seeing them interact with people they hate. Those kind of people are very visible, just as a white spot is bright in the middle of a black square. They are beautiful. They are a beautiful flower in the center of town square. What does love look like? It has the hands to help others, has the feet to hasten to the poor and needy. It has eyes to see miseries and want. It has the ears to hear and the sighs and sorrows of men. That is what love looks like. Love is not just an emotion, it's a choice to be kind, to show love. It's not just red hearts and kisses, but a choice to love. Those kinds of people are very visible. If Frank Loveman is walking down Main Street and sees a man lying on the ground all beat up, bloody, he would have to make a choice to show a loving hand to walk by and not care what he saw. If he has learned to love, he would stop, help him, maybe bring him to a hospital. And when he is healthy, he'll be honored, and the man might even give him something in return for helping him. Love seeketh not itself to please, nor itself hath any care, but rather seeks its ease and builds in heaven in hell's despair. When people love, they don't understand the real meaning of those four words. They are interested in what they look like. If they are handsome or pretty, they don't care what their heart is like. Then they have to break up. Then they break up when they figure out what they're really like. They will go through like 4 or 5 friends until they find the one they were meant to be with.
Okay, so obviously you've not gotten to your conclusion yet.
No.
Is that right? So you're in process here.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what things did Ben do well. What's something you see here that he did? His quotes. Great quotes, Ben. I love excellent use of testimony. But watch how I see you're putting in footnotes for your quotes. You can do it that way as long as you remember then in the next paper to footnote them properly. Look up how to do that properly.
Yeah, I was going to like at the end of the essay on the bottom of the last page, just put the footnotes and references so people can see.
Okay.
Right.
And that is fine. You may do it that way. The other way you can do it is you can do the shortened version of the reference right in the line after the quote, where you put a parentheses and you put the author and the page number or whatever you have, and then you do a little bibliography at the end. So there's 2 ways to do that, but I'm okay with footnotes as long as you do them correctly. Okay?
Yep.
Yes, I liked your quotes. What else do you see that Ben did well? Stedman, what's something you see that Ben did well?
Use good description.
Yes, he always uses good description, doesn't he? Ben's good at his description.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Oh, go ahead, Stedman. It's really hard to hear you. We're getting lots of background noise.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm on a highway. So it's probably hard. I might need someone else to read my essay for me, but
right.
But I think just that and just painted a good picture of what he wants the reader to understand. Yes.
Okay. All right. Mute. Thank you, Stedman. It's really that time. Before it wasn't that noisy, but wow, that was pretty noisy. Okay. So let's talk about Ben's structure. Is his structure as a persuasive essay clear here? Do you see what his thesis is?
Love, just like how love, people choose love, not make happen.
Right, that love is a choice to be made. I think he did a great job in the way that he put together and structured his introduction. It's interesting because of the quotes he uses, and the last sentence is the beginning of his thesis. Except, Ben, I would encourage you to think about not beginning your sentence with because. Okay? Don't begin with because. And as much as I love your named fictitious example, Frank Loveman, that seems a little awkward to me both times that you bring him in. I would leave out Frank Loveman, and if you want to use the example of the Good Samaritan, use it. Up in that top one.
I was going to use that, but I already used him, so I was like, oh,
yeah, I would get rid of him in your introduction because I don't think he helps you out there.
Okay, yeah.
It makes it a little bit more convoluted.
Okay.
So get rid of him and just use the Good Samaritan in the next one and polish up that introduction.
Yeah.
I think you have a good start in some excellent testimony and quotes and things. Where's your con point? What con point are you going to state?
The con point is right in the beginning. It's deep. Like I haven't like gotten them in yet because I just have like more prose because I need to beef up the paragraphs a little more because to like make them longer and like give them more interesting facts. But that's the rough draft. So like.
Right.
I'm gonna add them some more twists to the thing to make
well,
it.
What I really want to see is a contrast between love being a feeling and love being a choice.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to say something like, maybe as a second paragraph, right after your introduction, some are convinced that love is a feeling. This is not so because. Okay, yeah. I need to see it that clearly right after your introduction.
Okay.
Then I need to see your pro points for it being a choice. Don't let yourself get too mixed up in good quotes that the quotes aren't serving your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. And there was something else. Let's see. I think in your there was something that I'm not finding. I hate it. I should make myself notes as we read through so I can remember. In your final paragraph, when you say when people love, they don't understand the real meaning of love. I'm not sure what you mean like that.
The real meaning of those 4 words.
Of those 4 words, what are the 4 words?
Love. I mean, 4 letters, should I say?
Oh, well, that makes a difference. I couldn't figure out what words you were talking about.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I should change.
They don't understand the real meaning of those 4 letters.
Yeah, that's better.
Right. Okay, that makes more sense.
Mm-hmm.
I think you need to make it really clear that when people say they love someone else, it's possible they don't really understand what those 4 letters mean, okay? That would be more like what you mean to say, I think.
Okay, yeah.
And then you need to go on and say, they're more oftentimes, see, you're saying they, people, that's too vague. You need to be more specific and say, people who think this way are often more interested in what people look like than they are in serving them. That's not love.
Yeah.
Okay, make it clear. Get to your point. Remember that I see your question, Stedman. I'll get to that in just a sec. So Ben, you need to not sort of talk around your subject. You need to think about how to really hone in and say exactly what you're trying to say. Okay?
Yeah.
So remember, the requirement for this is a well-shaped intro, which you are well on your way to that. Then I want a con paragraph that you
Okay.
turn the con. Then I want at least 3 reasons to back up your support before you start your conclusion.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Anybody see any of the other things, any mechanical errors? He's working on his paragraphs. The ones he's gotten down good are looking good and beefy, the first one especially. Because I suspect you've worked on that one the most at this point. But I think you're off to a good start, Ben. You just have to not let yourself get distracted from your point here. Okay? Keep with it. And if the quotes are lovely, only use them if they really fit your the turn of your con argument, or to back up your pro argument. Make sure they're really effective for that. Any other comments, Stedman or Joel, on Ben's rough draft?
Could you post this archive later, so I can go back and look at what we said after I go home?
Yes, I'm recording it and we will post it. All right. And okay. And Stedman, you asked a question in the chat box. Are we going to go over the ironic essays after this? That's not my plan, but I did make lots of comments on the forum. So I make sure you go back and read those. Okay? Okay, excellent. All right, let's change over now. Let's go back. Good job, Ben. You're off to a good start. Let's go back to the rough draft form. Oh, good, and Stedman's showed up there. So, Joel, let's have you go ahead and read yours, and then we'll get to Stedman's too. Okay, so everybody open up Joel's. And Joel, I got to tell you, there's one problem right at the beginning. Do you mean currency like money? Did you check your spelling of how you spell currency?
No.
Maybe you should. Go ahead and read it to us, okay?
Currency has been around the world for a long time. Ever since humans have owned something, there has always been some form of money so that people can exchange it for things needed for living. Money took the form of many things, such as cows, furniture, tools, wood, and many other things. But with money comes great power and demands much self-control to not spend all of it at once. Hence, money can also change the way people think of themselves. Though many think that money does not change the way people think of themselves, and support that by saying that in the great history of money there has been much giving to the poor people and much kindness. But though there has been much giving and kindness, many see these poor people as lesser because they do not have money and things that come as a result of having money. And it leads to people who have less money to be treated with less respect.
Good catch.
As those with money. Furthermore, pridefulness without money can destroy many people, for it causes them to think highly of themselves, and doing so causes them to think they are better than everyone else, which causes many problems to many good people. For though they might say that they will never get prideful over their amount of money, many people do, and there have been many times in history when pride over money has hurt many people. Though pride is just a minor thing, money can change the way people think of themselves. Like people, money has been around for many years and has sometimes been placed higher than people. Since the beginning of money, people have had an understanding that money is what makes the world, and that understanding continues today.
All right, making notes. All right, who can tell me something Joel did well and clearly here? What's something good about this rough draft? Ben and Stedman, which of you think?
I like his
Ben?
pro points about how money can destroy people, like that's over them type thing. I think they're pretty good because they really are true.
Okay,
I think he stated that pretty well.
Right, he has a nice clear thesis, doesn't he? Stedman, what's something else that he did well?
I think he stated his thesis well. He just made it clear what it was. I could just tell. So I thought that was good.
I would say, Joel, what you really have a good start of is your structure for your argument. I see your argument pretty clearly here. And the things I see that need some fixing Watch your repetition of words. Like in the first paragraph.
I realized while I was reading that I said people waited.
Yeah, well, and things. Money took the form of many things, such as blah, 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 and many other things. Okay, watch your repetition of words, and that's true in other places too. If you're going to repeat ideas, try to find new words for repeating them, right? All of your paragraphs, Joel, need some work. You need to find testimony and quotes. You need to find statistics. You need to find some comparisons you can make. Okay.
Yeah,
And to be very, oh, go ahead, Ben.
I was just going to say it adds more length in your paragraphs because like the last paragraph is only 3 sentences and it just needs like more meat in it.
Yeah, you need to beef them up and you need to develop your ideas a little bit better. Let's see, your con argument is in that second paragraph. I want you to be careful how you state that, Joel, because I want you to be biblical in the way you're thinking about this. Money is not a bad thing. Money is a good thing when we use it in the way God intends us to. It's not only about the only good thing about money is giving to the poor and being kind. That's not God's plan for money. That's one of the side benefits of us having wealth and having property and belongings. Think carefully to state it in a way that reflects biblical attitudes if you can. So it's the problem with money isn't that people use it only, well, here's what I'm not saying well what I'm intending here. You say, though many think that money does not change the way people think of themselves, and support that by saying that in the great history of money there's been much giving to the poor and much kindness. Now, you never finish, though many people say that, it's like you didn't finish your thought in that sentence. Though many think that money does not change the way people think of themselves, and support that by saying that in the great history of money there's been much giving to the poor and much kindness, history shows that having a lot of money is often a cause of great pridefulness and wickedness on the part of people. You never finish that thought. Make sure you finish what your con point actually is. Okay? And remember that part of why God has given us money is to be kind and to give to others. I think you could make a stronger case here by going to what the Bible has to say about what we're supposed to do with our wealth. Okay, not just that like, oh, kindness and goodness is nothing. That is important. That's part of God's whole purpose in money. The problem is that you can't just be selfish and greedy and then add a veneer of kindness over the top by giving a little bit to the poor. That's not God's intention. So I need you to go a little deeper on that con point. Does that make sense to you, Joel? Yes? Okay. Make sure your pro points are clear and that I see each one distinctly. And make sure that when you go to do your conclusion, you have mentioned enough metaphors, comparisons, quotes, etc. earlier in your paper that you can echo some of that at the end to wrap it up for us. Because you didn't do any of that this time because you didn't put enough in your paragraphs to be able to do it. Does that make sense? So beef up your paragraphs and then rework your conclusion to echo some of those things you've said or used earlier. Does that make sense? Yes. Any other comments for Joel?
Mrs. Finnegan, did you notice that I used what is it a figure of speech in my essays? It's the one where, oh, here it is. Repetition of the same word, a group of words at the end of successive clauses. My essay.
Very good. I didn't notice it, but I will when I read it carefully. So make sure, that's the other thing. Do make sure, guys, that you're looking for a way to use some of those figures of speech we've talked about, okay? Okay, any other comments for Joel before we go back and we'll take a look at Stedman's? Any other comments?
I think you did good, Joel.
All right, great. Now, Stedman, I'm going to go ahead and read yours,
That
okay?
would be great. Thank
He
you.
has huge
Yeah.
paragraphs.
He has nice, good paragraphs.
Oh,
They're beefy.
They're
about it.
beefy. They're beefy.
but guess what? That
And-
might be a mistake.
No, no. So let's go ahead and I'll read this for Stedman. You guys read along and look for things that you can praise him and help him with. Anna Swanson had just finished her shift at Chick-fil-A and was driving home after a tiresome and exhausting, day at work. Upon arriving at the stoplight, she could not help but notice a rusty late model Volkswagen that pulled up beside her. Oh, and guys, will somebody be watching our time? I don't know where we stand, but Ben, keep an eye for me, okay? And interrupt me if you need to.
We have 3 minutes, 2 minutes now.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to have to invite you to new one. We can't finish this in 3 minutes, but this is our last thing basically to do.
Yeah.
So I'm going to leave this here. I'm going to end class, and I will re-record when we get started on a new one, okay? So wait for your new introduction. Let me find my thing. I'm going to stop.